Oh, good morning and welcome to Zen Fits here in Blackstone. Sunny, beautiful winter day in Blackstone, the center of the world. And here we are at a moment of transition between the old king and the new. The king is dead, long live the king. This is a moment of transition and passage between two worlds, the dying and the resurrected sun. This is the moment of the 3 days in the tomb. The sun has died, the new sun is rising. This is the moment of the dark night between two worlds, where one is dying and one is being born. Okay, so I just had a thought, about this. What we're witnessing here right now, as Trump leaves and Biden comes in, is the triumph of will and the death of will and the birth of compassion. Now, Trump basically is the triumph of will. I can fix it. He came in on that. I can fix it. My will do it. I can fix this mess. I can restore America. Not through bipartisanship, not through anybody, but my will. This is the whole idea between the imperial president. Nixon started it. He didn't start it, but he personified it. And Trump too. If the president does it, it's legal. You can't condemn, you can't indict, you can't checkmate the president. The president's will is supreme. If I will it, it's truth. If I say it, it's truth. Why? Because I say it. I'm true because I say it. That's the triumph of will. I'll do it because I do it. Because I want to do it. I can make things happen. So this is the level, the mythic level of the presidency. See, before the level of the presidency, the power of the office, we're just ordinary mortals. But when we become president, we become a god. That's why people run for it. You become a god, I know, not a real god, but a mythic god. The power of the office is mythic. There's an omnipotence about it, a triumph of will, you see. So what is Biden bringing? Well, the strength of Biden is compassion. It comes out in everything he does. Of the cross, the compassion that comes from loss. He has lost family over and over. He has lost opportunities. He's run for president and lost. He has been a servant to the president. He's been a congressman, a grunt, just doing his job, taking a train home. But the point of Biden is compassion. And Zen. There are two bodhisattvas, three, but the two that are most important is Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of compassion, and Manjushri, the bodhisattva of wisdom. Your wisdom and compassion. And these two wings have to fly together. Without compassion, and you just think you know what's right, but you have no compassion, you're going to fly in circles. And so for the past 4 years, we've been flying in circles because the wisdom had no compassion. The wisdom wing, the know-it wing, had no empathy, had no compassion. So without compassion, you see, we're missing that the will becomes authoritative, the will becomes tyrannical, and the will becomes destructive without compassion. So we're adding this element now with Biden, the element of compassion, which is a great energy. In fact, Zen, the arousing of the mind, prajna, crazy wisdom, the arousing of creativity is a mind that does not rest on any form. In other words, the bodhisattva vows that are repeated in the Zen monasteries and practice, the 4 vows, are vows of compassion. And the first vow is, sentient being, all beings without number, I vow to liberate. Now that is a impossible vow, but it's a vow of compassion. It's not a vow of, well, I want to get enlightenment, so I'm going to do this practice. It's not a vow of, I want to be awakened, so I'm going to do all this meditation and yoga and all these disciplines and everything, so I can be free from the cycle of birth and death, or be enlightened and be a guru. Or I can get respect and write books and be important and be somebody. That's not compassion. Compassion is when you do your practice, you do your disciplines, you do your meditation, you do your study, not for any self-gain, but for the benefit of life itself, all sentient beings. Your practice is for all sentient beings. So the presidency is a practice for all sentient Americans. The presidency is a practice for all beings, if you want to include the whole earth, you see, as America can help the earth. So this first vow is a vow to practice, be the president for all Americans. The second vow is endless blind passions I vow to uproot. Endless blind passions I vow to uproot. Those are my own passions, not other people's passions. My own endless blindness, my own endless blind desires and passions. I vow to uproot them like a dentist pulls out a tooth. But not yanking out other people's teeth, but my own passions. The third vow of the Bodhisattva is Dharma gates beyond measure I vow to penetrate. Now this is, you have to understand how Zen, Dharma gates is a thing. All things are Dharma gates. Every situation is a Dharma gate. Every situation, every moment is a Dharma gate that you vow to penetrate. You vow to break through and see the Dharma. You vow to break through and see and awaken. So all of the situations the president comes in contact with, he vows to break through the obstacle, the walls that Trump put up, the obstacles, the impediments, the obscurations, the illusions. The president vows to penetrate. And finally, the fourth final vow is the great way of Buddha I vow to attain. Now here again, this is not I will vow to be Buddha. Buddha is not a person. Buddha is awakening. We all have Buddha nature, so we're all awakened. Already, always, we are awake. I'm awake. Aren't you awake right now? You're not sleeping. You're awake. That awakeness, that knowing that you're awake, is Buddha nature. It's very simple. So we're looking at the president right now, at least I am, in an odd way, as a bodhisattva. As a bodhisattva of compassion. And he awakens wisdom. In the Prajnaparamita, which is the school of Prajnaparamita of Mahayana or Zen Buddhism, which was awakened or came about around the time of Christ, it is a compassionate practice, and Avalokiteshvara is the bodhisattva of compassion. And this compassion awakens prajna, which is the creative mind. So when you have compassion, when your practice, when your life, when your endeavors, when your goals are for the good of others or for life, you see, and not for self-enhancement, you have great power. That compassion will awaken you. And when you are awakened, all sentient beings are awakened. You see, it's all interconnected. It's not like a bunch of marbles in a circle. You know, we're all one. We're all interconnected. So when you awaken and you practice, you are awakening all sentient beings, because all sentient beings are one Buddha. So the precedent, you know, what I'm playing with here is this. It's kind of a cocktail. You know, it's kind of a martini here, where you mix the gin and vermouth and you come up with a little cocktail, you see. So the presidency is kind of like that, a martini, a cocktail where you mix God's compassion, the compassion of Christ or Buddha, with the presidency, with this role, and you mix them together and you have a communion with the people. You have the Eucharist, you see, would be the serving of the mix of compassion and the office, you know, which awakens wisdom. It awakens the right action. So when you mix compassion with your role, your duty, you see, the president is a role, but being a husband or being a wife or being a student or being a worker or being a boss, these are all roles, you see. When you mix compassion with them, you awaken wisdom, and you awaken right action, and you awaken life, you see. So anyway, here we are. We're wishing President Biden an awakening in his office of his compassion that will spill out into America and heal America, because we need a little healing. Thanks for dropping in.